Alright, game 5 against Sons of Behemat again. Here we go. Alright, Season of War GT Round 5, Prize of Galais. We really like this battle plan. Going up against Sons of Behemat, Kevin LeBlanc, and his 4 models. Breaker Tribe, I think he is. I think he had 3 Gate Breakers and a Kronspine Incarnate. I'll get to that in a second. I knew he was 4 drops. He has 4 models. Our army is higher drops, so it's super likely that we're going to be going first, which means it's super likely that he's going to be able to choose which objective is going to be the objective for the round. I'm not going to get to choose it as a proving ground. I tried to play it a little bit as if I would give away the turn, the first opportunity I got, so that I could just make one of the objectives the proving ground, and that would mean that he could never capture it because he doesn't even have any Galician veterans. So if I was smarter, I would have played a little bit more apprehensive like that, play to give it away, try to get my points, and then if I can, try to sweep in and attack one of his models at a time. If on round 2 I can kill one giant, round 3 another, round 4 another, then I'm probably in a good spot for round 4 if I can control the whole board. As it was, he chose the side objective as the objective for the first round, and we'll see how it goes. But until then, let's take a look at the lists. As you can see, his Sons of Behemat, Breaker Tribe, No Place for the Weak. He's got 3 Gate Breakers. 1 is monstrously tough, which gives him 5 extra health, so he's got 40 health. That came into play for sure. A 40 health Gargant that are all the ones that hit pretty strong. Another one has the Manticore Venom, so it's +1 to wound. And then the last one is the Spellcaster with Arcane Tome and Flaming Weapon, who is attached to the Kronspine Incarnate, who pairs pretty nicely with this army. I knew I had the damage to take it down, and some of my debuffs would be good enough to debuff him. I know they say that Gargants are kind of swingy, but once they're debuffed, -1 to wound, -1 to hit, they're a lot more swingy. Plus my 4-up Ethereal Save. It's a pretty good matchup, which I was really excited to play. Kevin was a really nice guy. My list we're playing is the Nighthaunt Scarlet Doom from the Realm of Metal, Fright or Flight. I have a Guardian of Souls, Master of Magic, plus Lady Olinder, so I have 4 casts that's probably going to be able to do whatever I want. I knew I could get the buffs off onto one of my units just to kind of stick it out there as bait or as a screen, and then the Krolgas Crusader, who is vital to keep that damage down. He doesn't have any bounty hunters, so we don't have to worry about that, but the Gargants, they do a lot of damage if those wounds go through. Then I have the 3 Spirit Host, the 5 Hex Brace to kind of zone out board space, 10 Chain Rasps as a horde, as a screen, and Dread Scythe Heritance, 10 of them as a little objective grabber, moving screen. Mirrorbone Banshees, which would not come into play at all, so these guys are another objective grabber or screen. Alright, let's take a look at the battle plan photos. Okay, here you can see the deployment set up, ready to go. And then, oops, the TO said that we had to stop everything because they had to reset the round. I was originally paired against Michael Rausch and his OCR Bone Reapers, which I was really happy and excited for, to play against his list. And I had to switch tables. So with my models already starting to get deployed on the table here, we just had a small delay, and I was able to move everything over to another table just a few rows down. The setup for Prize of Galais is really nice. I actually really like this battle plan. I didn't know where he was going to put his Gargants. He's got 1 Spellcaster up here. I think this is the Incarnate, and he's got the other 2 that are far up in this corner here, which was okay. I didn't know which objective he was going to choose as the first one, so I had to kind of spread out across the board so that I could just get a little bit onto one of them. If If he was going to be up here, I would probably try to get my Hex Race way up in his face just to try to hold him back in his corner for at least the first round as a bit of distraction while I moved up a screen and then another unit of Blade Guys to try to countercharge. Not much was going to die on the first turn, so if he gave me first, it was likely that I was going to get 4 points no matter what, just from holding one, holding more, and then my battle tactic, which is probably going to be against the odds. Here is the end of the deployment. I've got my hero phase done. My photography should be a little bit better. I'm going to have to take photos a little bit higher up so that I can get actually the board state up here too. But he's got his general right here, another Gatebreaker here, the Incarnate here, and another Gatebreaker Wizard up here. I'm just going to slowly push up. I'm not going to threaten too much space. I'm just going to place as if I could give it away, and then I would feel good, hopefully getting the choice of which objective. If he is going to try to get this objective, he's going to have to leap over my horses, which I thought was a pretty good idea. I tried to zone them out so that this guy wouldn't be able to leap over me and get onto this objective. His general had to leap over here and get onto this objective here, so that meant I would have to really choose what I wanted to do if I won priority on turn 2. If I was just going to try to put these 20 Blade Guys into his general and try to take it down immediately, or if I was going to give the turn away. I don't know. In hindsight, maybe you should always play to give it away. I needed to put another screen out here. If I put the Chain Rasps here, just on the toe here, and he has to charge into my Hex Race, then it's probably a better idea because he's looking at like a 10 or 11 inch charge. But honestly, my opponents have been making those 10 11 inch charges against me for these 5 games of the tournament. I probably should have deployed a little bit differently, but I was really happy with the way things were at the end of round 1. Take a look here. These Hex Race are zoning out some part of his board. Keep his models up here, or at least isolate them so I can get to attack one at a time. On his turn, he charges in. He's trying to get against the odds, and he was just able to get a little fraction of his base onto the objective marker, which meant that he held more, and then he got against the odds for his turn 1. The priority going into turn 2, I did win. I knew I was going to move the guys up. I knew I was going to try to give the turn away so that I could choose an objective. He chose his back one here, so there's no way I could get that. Just with the 20 models of the giant sitting on there's just no way I can get it. I knew I wanted to put all these attacks into his general as I possibly could. I think I wound up taking something like 27 or something wounds off the general, but that still meant like there was 13 left, which was a long way to go, especially when he could hit me back and make some trouble there. These Chain Rasps went onto this objective, so I count as 30 models. He's only got 20 models, plus I've got these other ones, so I've got about 40 models on the objective. Chose Desecrate their lands. I dropped the Banshees into the back corner, kind of over here, just to occupy this thing, and then threaten to move up this way. His first turn, he moved the Kronspine down here, and the Wizard over here. I moved the Banshees up here to threaten to come in and take this objective if he wanted to move his Gatebreaker down into the action, which he didn't really seem to want to do. He was content to just hold back. In that state, I knew that I was going to control 1, control 2, control 3, so I have these 3 objectives. He's going to have 2. If the game progresses, I was feeling like I was in a good spot. I just had to get rid of 1 Gargant. Here, let's try to stay with out of 3. I didn't get a high roll. Just did a lot of damage onto the general. I was hoping if these guys stuck into combat during his turn, then I would probably be able to get priority again and then charge in and take him down without any problems. His turn, beginning of this one, still here, just a board state here. I'm castled up. I've got all my guys in ready here. If he wants to bring the Kronspine down into the dread size, I'm okay with that. I've got a pretty good situation here. If I get lifting the veil off, I'll be fine. I have an arcane bolt to shoot against something to activate the dread size, and then this second unit of 20 Bladegeist Revenants is ready to go and attack whatever it can. He chose to come down hot. He was going not against any of my dread size here. He was trying to make some long charges to get into the chain rasps and just get rid of them. And the general was just working away on the unit of Bladegeist here. He tried to get his giant to step over here, but he couldn't. He wound up going here and then getting into combat somewhere around here, which was good for him. It was getting those giants in there. I now have all the giants grouped up onto this side of the board. They're basically all on these objectives. I know that meant that I'm going to be controlling the other half of the board. So when he chose gaining momentum as his battle tactic, he just had to kill something. He thought he was going to kill these chain rasps. Kronspine moved up, go for a redeploy to get these the hell out of there. And then, of course, you roll a 1, and the redeploy sucks. And his charge is still about a 7-inch charge to get into the chain rasps. If it was, you know, a 12-inch charge or something, but you can't. You can feel happy when you get that redeploy 6, but you can't feel bad when you don't. It's a cool mechanic, but my god, does it ever, never work out in my favor. And these two giants getting into the chain rasp. This is basically what it looks like in the combat phase. I'm feeling pretty good. If I'm going to do something here, I really want to play to give it away, but I know that if I win the priority and I take the turn, there's a really good chance that I'll be able to take this general down with the remaining Bladegeist, and then that's going to hopefully act as a snowball. Because if I get these Bladegeist in my round 3, these Bladegeist are getting in on the Incarnate, the Dread Sides are getting in on the other Gatebreaker, Lady O is probably getting in, try to do some mortal wounds, and I'm going to be controlling this whole half of the board. So I feel pretty good. So here's the beginning of my charge phase. I have everything that's kind of moved up. The general has not a lot of wounds left. I think he's only got like 7 or 8 wounds left, and I have a unit of Bladegeist still engaged with them. The chain rasps are gone, and he is really controlling this side of the board really, really nicely. I'm okay with that because I knew that just had to get my hero phase off and really get some guys to get in there. My charge phase, Lady Olinda is unfortunately about 12.2 inches away in the shooting phase, so she couldn't shoot the general here. But at this point, he's got not a whole lot of life left. The beginning of the combat phase, I was able to get a 10 onto both of these two units, so they're both fight last. I know I'm just going to sandwich them with a lot of damage, but the big story here, I chose eye for an eye as my battle tactic. I knew I was going to kill something. I knew the general had something like 7 or 8 life left, and I went in with at least 10 Bladegeist against him. Guess what? They left this 40 wound Gatebreaker general on 1 wound left. Because these two guys are fight last, he turned around with his 1 wound left, and I totally failed my saves, and all my Bladegeist Revenants, they died because I left the general on 1 wound left. That's the story of the game, as I'm going to tell it for sure, because if these Bladegeist, if they killed the Gatebreaker general right here, he's dead. He doesn't attack back. I have this blob of Bladegeist that I can use in other rounds to probably charge and do some damage somewhere else. But just leaving this Gatebreaker, I didn't have a shooting. Lady Olinda was still too far away for the Arcane Bolt to do the mortal wound, and then the Dreadscythe Harridans, when they piled in for their attacks, I only had 1 Dreadscythe Harridan who did 4 attacks on 3s and 3s against the Gatebreaker. 3 wounds go through, and he made all 3 saves. So it just wasn't meant to be for this round of combat. The other news, I de-leveled the Incarnate quite easily. And then I wound up taking like a good chunk of wounds off of this other gatebreaker here. So, listen, sometimes it just plays out like this with all the attacks and everything. You get there, and that's it. Someone at the event said I pulled a Carl. Yeah, if that's what leaving a model on 1 wound is like, then yeah. I left the Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon on like 2 or 3 wounds before, and he just flew away. This time the Gatebreaker General, he was sticking around. And he hit back pretty heavily. So, as you can see, the General's got 1 wound left. Once you got 1 wound left, you start counting the wounds you have left. Like the 7 dice you need to record that stuff, especially if you have 40 wounds. And here's the board state after this. Mostly, I'm feeling good. I've got a good position. I control this half of the board. My models are doing some serious work. The Incarnate's going to have one level left, and it's okay. This Gatebreaker, he swung back. He killed the Dread Scythe. He killed all of them. I didn't make my saves. The Incarnate was able to do quite a bit of damage against the Bladegeist Remnants, but the Krulgeist Crusader here and the -1 to wound prevented a lot, as well as the -1 damage bubble. So, yeah, Penitent of the Fell Wind was a pretty good artifact that I used for this list. A little apprehensive getting the Crusader into combat, especially because he's got to get pushed further up, but if you can keep that bubble alive and moving, you'll be fine. And just having that debuff, the -1 to wound. So, this guy was -1 to hit and -1 to wound, still wiped out the Dread Size. This guy's -1 to hit and -1 to wound, still did a bunch of damage, even with the Krulgeist Crusader. That's a dice game. I'm actually -3, well, -2, yeah, -3 to wound on this Incarnate because -1 from the Dread Size, -2 from the Crusader, and -3 from the Shade Mist. So they still took damage. You can only be -1 to wound. I'm okay with that. Still, it's a cool effect. And yeah, looking at the end of the turn, I've lost my Bladegeist here. This General's got 1 wound left. I'm just moving stuff around and piling it as I do. I didn't know exactly what he was going to do, but I hold only 1 objective. I only hold, yeah, he made it this one to capture. So the top 3 around here are the objectives. I hold 1. I failed my eye for an eye on the General, and that was, yeah, a bad turn for me. I only got 1 point. So now it's 8 to 9, and he's going into his turn. So he already has 9 points. He hasn't even taken a turn yet. It's okay. His turn, he's moving stuff around. This Gatebreaker doesn't want to get into combat because he knows if he gets into combat, I'm just going to attack him and die. He made his heroic recovery. He gained another wound. And for the rest of the game, he just basically does heroic recovery and moves around into my deployment zone and just recovers. It was bad. Disappointing, but it was okay. He chooses Wrecking Crew, so he had to turn one of these things in my deployment zone to rubble. It was a 3-up chance to get his objective. He already holds 1, holds 2, so he already holds 1, 2 more than me. It was a pretty easy and risky battle tactic for him to do. I think getting 2 points on a 3+ was okay, but he didn't really have much else to do. These guys came around, and yeah, they really did some work onto the Blade guys. He was up in here. I think he charged in and tried to do some work on my heroes. They didn't die. Some of the Spirit Hosts died. But I'm happy here with the way things are going, just because of how it is. And I think on his turn 3, I was able to kill the Incarnate again. And I was left with a tough decision on what to do. Because, yeah, I'm running out of models. Even with the Incarnate gone and the General on low life, I have to try to deal with this guy. So when I won the priority on round 4, I knew there was basically only one thing that I had to do, and I said, listen, the Guardian of Souls, he's going all in. It's his finest hour. I'm going, this one's mine. the Guardian of Souls is going to take down this Gatebreaker. He was on 5 wounds, so I had to really be careful about how I did it. I knew the Guardian of Souls wasn't going to do all 5. It was really unlikely. So I made a decision where I was going to attack with a Linder first. So she and her 4 attacks, -2 Ren, 2 damage apiece. I thought that she would do 4 wounds against the Gatebreaker. Well, she did all 6. She did 6 wounds. The Gatebreaker died, and he landed on the Guardian of Souls, who had 1 wound left, and killed him. So, Guardian of Souls failed the battle tactic, tried to kill the Gatebreaker, died for his efforts, and that is Age of Sigmar, folks. Like, that's exactly how the game goes. You have fun when you're playing, especially if you're trying to do new things and be competitive and goofy at the same time. If things don't go your way, like leaving a Gargant on 1 wound left, there's not much else you can do. Yeah, even with Sila Sheish onto the Bladegeist Revenants, not a whole lot else happened. Gatebreaker dead. I don't get a bonus victory point. The Bladegeist Revenants are buffed up. Lady Olinder's here. She's doing okay. Not much else. His turn 4, he decided to do Desecrate. He could choose to Desecrate this objective here. At this point in time, the General's got 5 wounds left, and I don't have too many models left at the end of his turn, so he was able to get Desecrate and Control 1, Control 2, and Control more for more than me, and that was pretty much it. So he's at 19 points. I failed a few battle tactics. I'm only at 10 points, so he's 9 points ahead of me. It's a race. I felt like it might have been the wrong decision to try to go in after the General and bait him forwards. Playing against Sons of Behemat on Prize of Galay was a bit difficult because of how hard it was to get the objective that they chose. If I was going second and I was choosing which objective was it, I would have just chosen the ones on the other side of the board, and he wouldn't have even been able to get over there. So I would have been ahead on points, probably more than him. But as it was, Kevin, great game. Oh my God. We play Age of Sigmar for those moments, and I'm so happy to have played you. And this will conclude the battle reports for my Season of War GT. I'm super lucky to have been able to go to the Season of War GT. I can't wait to get to go to another one. At the moment, my next big tournament is Everwinter in Boston in December. I look forward to it, and thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out.